Welcome to the second interview from the PLM Global Green Alliance with PLM vendors in the context of sustainability. My name is Jos Voskuil, and together with my colleague Klaus Bretschneider from the PGA, we have the honor today to talk with Autodesk. You can find more about us on the PLM Green Alliance on our website, but now we want to focus on Autodesk and the design part of sustainability. So welcome Zoé, welcome Jon, and let's first start with an introduction of yourself. Zoé, please start.
All right, I'll start. My name is Zoé Bezpalko. I'm a sustainability strategy manager for the design and manufacturing industries at Autodesk.
Okay, and Jon, your last name Den Hartog sounds very Dutch. What about you?
Yes, indeed. Hi, I'm Jon Den Hartog. I run product management for our PDM and PLM solutions at Autodesk, which we call data and process management.
Okay. And as I said in the introduction, it's all about design. Is that your major focus in the offerings and of the company?
Yeah, design and manufacturing. That's right.
Okay. Design and manufacturing. Great. And because last week, or the last episode with SAP, where we saw that SAP focusing on measuring the impact of sustainability from product manufacturing and materials, but it's all in the phase that it's already designed, and the major choices have to be made up front, and that's why we're happy to talk with you about this. And we talked about also the context of the circular economy, which is, I would say, strongly a strong part of the sustainability. So let's start first, Zoé, with zooming in on Autodesk as a company. What is your company doing in the context of sustainability?
Thank you. Yeah. So at Autodesk, we have a holistic approach to sustainability with an impact strategy that covers the entire company and all departments. This impact strategy was recently approved by our board of directors and our C staffs. Our strategy, as you can see on the slide, has two aspects: the how, so the three ways that we create impact, and the what, which are our key impact opportunities areas. So I'll start diving on the how and show you a couple of slides. So in terms of internal initiative, we aim to lead by examples in our own operations. So last year, we actually achieved our target of net zero carbon emission across our businesses and our value chain. We also have set targets to reduce Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions by 50% in the next 10 years. Another aspect of how we create a positive impact internally is through diversity. We have established strategic priority and set measurable goals to foster a diverse and inclusive and equitable workforce. And finally, we empower our employees to have an impact at work through pro bono program, donation matching program, and sustainability trainings. So that's one aspect. But externally and undeniably, this is where our largest opportunity lies, and it's to create positive impact at scale by supporting our customers with the technologies that they need to reduce their environmental impact in their design and manufacturing processes. In those, we actually focus on three major impact opportunity areas that we align with the UN SDGs. The first one is in energy and materials, which is about enabling better energy and material choices, reducing carbon emission and waste. The second one is in health and resilience, to accelerate the design and make of places and products that are safer, healthier, and more resilient. And finally, the third one is in work and prosperity, to advance equity and access and facilitate the acquisition and on-demand skills of the future.
Thanks for this introduction. I think, yeah, so as a company, you are quite active, and as you say, also the areas where you see the impact. What about your customers? How mature are they in sustainability efforts? Are they asking for you?
Yes, we are seeing, I think, with some external forces happening from, a push with consumer demand, definitely a growth in environmental regulation globally, but specifically in Europe, and then also a demand from investors around ESGs. We are definitely seeing more and more of our customers committing to sustainability, and we actually have calculated that more of half of our customers have today sustainability goals that they align with the UN SDGs, and we're definitely positioned to help them achieve these goals.
Okay. Yeah, my experience is with the companies I'm working, yes, they have the goals, but it's extremely difficult to change your processes, your daily ways of working. So yes, there is the long term and there are the regulations pushing the companies. But is it really happening? And maybe you have some examples of customers, Jon?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can just share an example of something that we've done recently to just inspire folks on the possibilities of improving their sustainability. So I'll start with an example in an area we call generative design. So the idea in generative design is enabling our customers to drive things like reduced material usage in the products they're designing, as well as in many cases improving things like energy efficiency of those products once they're in operation. And the idea here is that we're enabling engineers to do what they do extremely well, which is figure out the requirement space and what something needs to do. And then we leverage the power of the cloud for computing different alternatives that they can then consider and evaluate trade-offs. So it's somewhat like topology optimization from the FEA days, but it's different in a couple key areas. The first one is that it's manufacturing aware. So it's not just considering the structural performance, but also the manufacturability. And then furthermore, it's the second way is that it's not just coming up with one theoretical optimum. It's coming up with a variety of solutions that an engineer can compare, and they can understand different strategies for design that not only helps them develop a better solution, but also understand why it performs better than other options.
Yeah, specific functionality in your software you will provide in these areas? And if so, in what kind of software packages will you provide something like that?
Yeah, so the generative design capabilities are in an offering we call Fusion 360, which is inherently cloud enabled. So that's where it's available today.
Okay.
And a great example of a customer that used generative design with some sustainability benefits are General Motors. I don't know, Jon, if you want to talk over this example.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it helps in a few areas. Reduced vehicle mass is, of course, important. There's some efficiency advantages there. But the other thing that's happening is with electric vehicle production on the rise, you have new constraints, like you're putting batteries on board. Weight is more of a concern. You also have different space allocation available. So making structures that are smaller and lighter are impactful, not just for energy efficiency, but for being able to help that new type of vehicle perform better. So we worked with GM engineers on generative design and applying that methodology on design of a few parts. There was actually one component in particular that we focused on. It was a seatbelt bracket. So a very important structural part of the car, and one that's used, for all the seats. So if you design it in an optimal way once, you get to reap those benefits in several areas of the car. So what happened there was we defined the requirements. GM was able to see more than 150 different possible design solutions, leveraging different materials and manufacturing methods. And it led them to select one that allowed for significant reduction in part complexity. So they went from 8 separate components down to one 3D printed part. It ended up being lighter. In this case, it was about 40% lighter, leveraging a structure that was not bound to traditional manufacturing methods. And at the same time, 20% stronger. So a good example of something that simplified the part and ultimately was also lighter and made the vehicle more efficient as a result.
Yeah, when I hear generative design, I always relate it to 3D printing or additive manufacturing. Is a company like GM able to do this on such a scale? I mean in aerospace or there you have not such a big volumes, but is this also possible for large quantities, volumes?
Today, well, we haven't seen it at huge scale today, but another thing that makes our approach unique is that additive manufacturing isn't the only type of process that can be considered. We have different constraints that allow you to say, specify, I have a 3-axis machining process that I can use. And so you tend to get prismatic parts there that can be, cut on on a CNC machine. So you have the option between additive manufacturing and other milling operations in that case.
Okay. Thanks.
Another great example, if you are interested, yes.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So similarly with generative design, we actually recently worked with a French sports manufacturer called Decathlon to really think about reimagining the bike experience to be lighter, stronger, customizable, and ultimately also more sustainable. Mm-hmm. They leverage generative design to replace the current carbon fiber parts of the bike, which is, the industry standard for performance bike, but it's also really difficult to recycle. And instead, they are planning to 3D print bicycle from aluminum, which is recyclable. They want to reduce both the raw material and then the kind of transportation intensive shipping required to build and deliver a bicycle. So they use generative design to, plot kind of these goals and constraints around making the bike lighter, but also with materials that are more sustainable and manufacturing methods like 3D printing. And they were able to get to a bike design that was lighter than the traditional carbon fibers, still with kind of trades off between material cost, weight, and mechanical property, and basically making this bike more sustainable.
Okay, I'm extremely interested as an amateur cyclist. I mean, every gram is 1 kilometer more per hour, maybe. We dream. So looking forward to see this product also on the Dutch market.
And maybe just another example in a very different market, but maybe something that will please you. And it's an example from the Netherlands, where your largest dam, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, that's a Afsluitdijk.
Afsluitdijk, yes, good.
Yes, we know that today it's your greatest barrier against sea level rise from climate change, but it's also aging. Apparently it's about 89 years old now, meaning that it needs to be reinforced. Apparently it's a very complex project that include raising and strengthening the dam with 75,000 prefabricating concrete blocks that you can see on this slide. And also reconstructing the lock complex with 2 pumping stations, creating access for migrating fish, designing a bicycle path along the dam. So a lot of work on this project. More than 300 people from architecture, civil engineering, construction profession had to work together during the design and pre-construction phase. They use our tools, including Civil 3D, Revit, for BIM, collaboration and coordination, and planners also use Dynamo and advanced scripting to speed up the design process. With the dam reinforcements are completing next year, and it's expected to withstand a once in a 10,000 year storm surge. And it was estimated that the use of digital construction and prefabrication tool achieved 56% reduction in carbon emission compared to other solutions. So another pretty impressive example of how our solution can help our customer in different industries.
Yeah, because that was going to be my question. I mean, when we look at this Afsluitdijk, as this big dike is called, there was no discussion around sustainability, where from the other hand, we are aware that the AEC industry, as you said in the beginning, has a huge impact. Do you see it now also happening as design constraints when people start making constructions? Are they cost but also sustainable developed, or still the cheapest or almost cheapest?
Definitely, clients across industry are seeing the same pressure to start integrating sustainability early in their design phase. Just to put, just a number out there, it is estimated that 80% of environmental performances are determined at the early design phases. Mm-hmm. And that is across industries, because the decisions that you make in early design stages, like material choices or, structures, are going to have cascading impact over the rest of the product development cycle.
Right. In the construction industry, I think the BIM model is a very important part, and on the manufacturing side, I think it's the digital twin, where you can collect this kind of information. Is there anything going on at Autodesk to improve this idea for the digital twin to collect information from sustainability perspective, if it comes to carbon emission or waste or something like this?
So I'll lead off here. So we do have an investment happening right now. It's called Autodesk Tandem, which intends to create a digital twin model that aggregates information about the building as well as the equipment on the inside and allows a customer to understand exactly how it's performing. So that is an early project that's getting underway right now, although we do have some information about it that you can review on our Tandem page.
And Jon, I'm curious if you can or want to talk about PIM. I feel that that's a good place also where we are aiming to build up on some sustainability insights.
Yeah. So when we say PIM, it's sounds similar to BIM, but we call it the Product Information Model. We have at least internally.
Okay.
And what this is all about is enabling organizations to get more value out of their data by structuring it in a way that can be accessed throughout their organization and those that they're collaborating with. So, of course, that's going to sound a lot like any traditional PLM strategy, but what makes our approach different is that we are razor focused on making that information model open, extensible, and associative.
Okay.
And so, most likely independent from the typical bill of material, right? So it's really an independent product structure.
Exactly. So you're able to represent information that you would typically find in a bill of material, but it's structured in a way that you can access the different facets of data very flexibly. But what you'll see is this is the model that will be part of what we call our Forge platform. So that is an emerging cloud-native platform that will represent this kind of data actually across what we call design and manufacturing as well as the architecture market.
And so you can imagine how that is going to enable sustainability workflow, meaning that, we have partner being able to extract information from model like material, mass, volumes, and so forth, developing, sustainability insights and calculation that then can also be part of that information model and stay with it and get updated as the product, get developed through the production cycles.
So what I see especially in the design phase is that people have to make decisions based on data or information. Is there anything that Autodesk is also doing to connect their products to certain data sources, libraries for impact analysis? Are there any initiatives on that?
Yeah, I'll share one, and then perhaps we can go farther into the information model. The first one that we've had out there for a few years now, I think has been impactful, and it's impactful because it's built into the process that our customers are using every day to design. It's a functionality that we call duplicate search. We have many customers that are designing machinery that uses very similar or identical hardware, brackets and fasteners and so forth. And if you have different teams working on machinery in parallel and they're reusing a lot of similar types of hardware, you usually end up with a lot of duplicate part numbers, duplicate drawings. Ultimately, you might be manufacturing duplicates unnecessarily and even stocking those spare parts unnecessarily. So we've introduced something as simple as duplicate search, which allows them to geometrically identify duplicates where they don't have to do that extra design work and stocking. So that's an example where designers are, when they're releasing a part, it will automatically check, hey, does this already exist? Can we reuse that other?
But here you're checking internally, or at least in your company ecosystem, where I always looking to was, are there any databases that give you information like if I choose this material, this is going to be my environmental impact. So maybe don't choose plastic, choose this. Are there any initiatives on that level?
That's kind of the next evolution of that. Maybe Zoe can.
We are actively working on starting integrating some, lifecycle assessment provider as well as lifecycle inventory database, connect that through the information model that we just discussed so that we are able to extract information from our model, calculate insights on carbon footprint, cost, but also other sustainability metrics like waste and circularity, and return these results within the CAD environment to the designer, which we think is the persona that we need to influence the most. Since I mentioned before, they have kind of the decision power on a lot of consideration that will ultimately impact the carbon footprint. So this is something we are currently exploring and developing.
Yeah, so this leads automatically in the question, what is in the future, what is the direction of Autodesk in the future? Are they also going to push for methodologies, frameworks like LCA, as you mentioned?
We're definitely looking at making it as easy and seamless for a designer to start integrating environmental considerations, and that not specifically means like developing new methodology, but potentially leveraging advanced technology to make methodology like life cycle assessment simpler for designers to understand and to be able to calculate in early design phases. Ultimately, from a long-term perspective, our goal is to develop a platform for sustainability where any partner, calculators, external parties with sustainability insights could access our tool, our data, and our platform, and augment the type of insights and automation workflows that our customers can use on our tools currently.
Klaus, from your point, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good. I mean, specifically, I think the PIM model, or however you will call it, when the marketing department run over it, I think it's a great tool or a great perspective for circular economy. If everyone can access the information, it's great to collect information. I think it's an important step, and specifically, I think in the Autodesk customers are basically looking for this kind of technologies to plug in every information they have. So I think it sounds really good.
And since you did a call out to the circular economy, it is an important pillar of our strategy. And definitely, I am personally hoping that the future will be more circular. Today I like to say that our tools are not going to make your product circular with the press of a button, but we have key functionality that can support elements of circularity, like enabling designers to select better materials that can be recyclable or compostable, enable our users to build better design that can be disassembled or remanufactured, and then better data management, which we already touched quite a lot, but really the importance of the circular economy is closing the loop between the different stakeholders across the product value chain, and putting data at the center is really going to enable the connection of this stakeholder across the design phases, manufacturing, but also procurement and even end of life.
I think I'm glad you introduced, going back on the circular economy, because it's one of my favorite topics. Is circular economy also forces you to do thinking in systems, and that means also the designer is going to be part of a bigger system. How do you see this happening in the Autodesk ecosystem? Actually, yeah. How do you connect the designer to the rest of the organization?
Perhaps I'm biased being the PLM guy, but I feel like a fundamental piece of it is having the data centrally located so that everybody can access it and contribute to it at the same time. So not just consuming, but also being able to work together in a coordinated way. That's a fundamental requirement for any type of systems approach, and certainly would apply to designing for more sustainable and circular solutions.
Okay. So yeah, I think we all agree it has to start, and we're all working on the future. So I'm curious, where can we learn more about Autodesk's future activities?
So I'll take that one, Zoe, and then you can share more on sustainability. So actually, the PIM availability, you'll see that again in the Forge developer program. In fact, we've got a private beta right now, and we expect that to go public in the future. So we're excited about progress made so far there, and we anticipate many more partners will be able to access it through there. So you can look for the data model there on the Autodesk Forge website.
And then from a sustainability perspective, definitely recommending you to visit our sustainability hub at autodesk.com/sustainability. Over there, you will find our annual impact report that I definitely recommend you to go and read. And then for all of our customers out there, I encourage you to reach out to our sales community to start the conversation about how Autodesk can help you achieve positive outcome and reach your sustainability goals.
Okay. I was thinking, how much are you also influenced by the European Union, our Green Deal, and we are now also talking about introducing the digital product passport. Is that related? Do you see it happening also in the US?
I have not seen a whole lot on the digital passport myself, at least through our customers. However, I understand that's an important strategy for the circular economy. It's a critical enabler so that you can drive effective and smart reuse. How it relates to the data model topic that we talked about before? Well, that data model is also extensible. So that passport information could live along with that.
I mean, the digital passport is not that in Europe also. I mean, the European Commission is going to announce in the upcoming months the details how they want to progress. And I'm always curious, does it reach the other side of the ocean?
Not so far.
I think a good example on this is actually on more AEC side of where we integrated a database of EPR for building products. So EPR being product declarations, environmental product declarations of building product and resources. And so now we have a database connected to our Revit platform where a designer can actually directly see these EPDs, but what we have integrated is kind of the embodied carbon data so that within Revit, you're able to kind of calculate at a building scale the embodied impact of your material choices within and procurement choices. So I can imagine a similar workflow existing on the design and manufacturing with product passports and kind of our information model.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think nothing to ask from me anymore. Klaus, anything for you?
No, thank you. It was a nice conversation.
Yeah. I thank you both, Zoé, Jon, for taking the opportunity to present what you're doing, and I wish you also a lot of success with implementing the future, because that's what we all need.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.